Okay, it is that time of the week. We have our good friend Coach Prime on the show. Week 12 in the books. A few things we got to talk about. So I'll go chronologically. The story from the early slate. What the fuck happened to the Raiders? And do you think that this is a derailment that's going to, they were the team that everyone said, watch out for the Raiders after they went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs, and they get punked by the Falcons. What do you make of that?
I didn't have enough guts to pick the Falcons, and I think I said that on the football show, but I really felt good about them. The Raiders' defense is hot garbage. I mean, hot garbage. Hot garbage, like straight out the microwave. And you know that. One thing about the Falcons, they have an offense that's impeccable. They're pretty darn good. They can score on anybody. They just can't stop no darn body. And they had the advantage of a home game. And the Raiders are down the middle of the road. They're really not that good, but they put up a fight. They play hard every week. But defensively, they ain't going nowhere with that bull junk, man.
Well, they got Raheem Morris, and he's coached them to 4-2 down in Atlanta. Do you think that there's a chance that they keep Raheem around after this season's over as the full-time head coach?
Nope.
It's a good question, though.
I would love them to. I would love them to. If you went out, it's going to be a concern. You really got to make that decision. But I don't think they will. I would love them to because I think he's had experience. He got a raw deal there in Tampa, and he's a good guy. Guys like him.
The only reason I kind of agree with that, although I feel like he's definitely played himself or coached himself into consideration, but if you have an owner like Arthur Blank, your last hire was a defensive guy, you're probably going to go with an offensive guy because you're like, well, last time it didn't work out, so I'll just do the opposite of what I did before.
Well, they need a defensive guy. They do need a defensive guy. Or you need honestly, man, if they could somehow convince a guy like Rex Ryan to come out and take over the defense, they would be phenomenal.
Oh, I like that.
You need a real defensive mind to do something with that defense. That's the kind of guy that you need.
So one last note on this game, and we've had this disagreement before, but Derek Carr fumbled 3 times. He has small hands.
Really small hands.
He has small hands.
You got to stop.
He has small hands.
He's got like kitten mittens.
You don't care about that?
Little stubs.
We had this whole talk about small hands. First of all, what is a small hand? What is really a small hand?
Below 9 inches,
is there
right?
a certain size that say small hands, or does it the look of a small hand?
It's 9 inches or smaller. You know what small hands look like.
I've shaken a couple small hands before, but I don't really know what a small hand looks like. I know what it feels like. I don't know what it looks like.
It's science, though. It's not
I can't
like
say a quarterback can't throw and he's fumbling because he has a small hand. I've never heard that.
I do. Certain guys, like Aaron Rodgers, for example. Aaron Rodgers, he'll get hit and the ball will just be stuck in his hand because he has big fucking hands. I do think
that's not true.
I think there's a little small part of it. No pun intended with the small, but Derek Carr been playing great this year, but in terms of ball security, and we'll have our stats guy pull up some stats for you, but in terms of ball security, that is an issue.
So do Carson Wentz have big hands? Because his ball security is hot garbage.
I don't know, yeah, he just thinks Derek Carr has fumbled 60 times in his 104 games, 28 lost. 60
so what about Carson
times.
Wentz?
That's a lot of fumbles.
He's got a small brain. That's different. There are different parts of your body that can be small that adversely affect your ability to play football. But there is something like you think that for the last 50 years they've been looking at hand size just because they're they have no idea what they're doing.
A fetish? Do you think they got fetishes?
They might actually.
Hand size problem? Addicted to hand size?
I've never seen a guy not get drafted because of his hand size. I've never seen a guy not get drafted because he didn't run the 3-cone drill right. It's like some stupid stuff that they do at the combine. I've never seen a guy not get drafted because he couldn't bench 225 5 times. Never seen it. That's just some of the dumb stuff that they do in the NFL.
I agree with you. I do not think if a guy's good, who cares how big his hands are? But there is a concern with the fumbles, and that is directly correlated with his hand size. Whatever. I'm right. You're wrong. It's fine. Let's move on to a different game. What do you make of the Tennessee Titans tractor Cito? So we've been talking about it for years, but Derrick Henry gets better as the season goes along. Is there something to be said for a defense later in the season? Maybe it's November, December, your body's banged up. You just don't really want to tackle him the same way. Is there something about him getting better as the season goes on?
We just interviewed him on the segment I call Give Me Five. We just took 5 minutes from him this weekend that he came on 21st and Prime. And this guy here, man, I think he's a phenomenon. I really think he is a treasure in the NFL that's underappreciated because he is as consistent as it comes. He's going to get 8 in the box. Everybody's going to be outside man-to-man, so he's making the whole team better. Receivers got to win. You got one-on-ones on the darn outside. But they are really doing it. But this team is so unpredictable. The defense is not as good as it was last year, so they're middle of the road. I did not pick them to win, but had I known Derrick Henry was going for $178, you cannot rush for 178 yards and lose. That don't even go together.
Mm-hmm. He is
unbelievable.
He
man.
does look like he's been running harder the last couple weeks. Like, I don't know if the defenses, like Big Cat says, are getting tired later on in the year, or if he just like finds that next gear as the weather gets a little bit colder. But like people don't want to tackle Derrick Henry anymore, and we saw the exact same thing last year. So I think it's probably going to continue.
Yeah, I think it will too. And I told him that had he and I played against each other, I would have formed tackled him.
Yeah, you would not have.
You said that before.
Yes, I would have.
You would have dove at his shoelaces, and he would have calmly stepped over you like Allen Iverson over Tyronn Wood.
I really told him that he would have never done me like Josh Norman because we would have never got in this situation.
But seriously, this is an honest question. Being in a locker room, I mean, you were on good teams, but maybe when you're on the Falcons, if you get to later in the season, is there a mentality? It's not talked about, but is there a mentality of like, fuck, I don't really want to tackle this guy anymore?
No,
we suck.
No. Only thing that was a phenomenon when I was with the Falcons when we were hot garbage early in my career, we call it bowling. Okay, what bowling means is we want, you know how when somebody can't bowl, they put the rails up on the sides?
Yep.
So the ball can stay in bounds?
Yep.
So what we did, everybody stood on the edge of the field on the sidelines, was we didn't want nobody to go out of bounds because we wanted the game to be over as soon as possible, especially in the winter.
I like that.
I love that.
What about?
So we went bowling every game at the end.
Keep the clock running.
What about the Bills game? So the Buffalo Bills, they won, but they have an issue that they need to address at some point, which is they do not know how to defend against a Hail Mary. They gave up 2 catches on a Hail Mary today. One of them counted. The other was pass interference. And then obviously the DeAndre Hopkins from a couple weeks ago. As a defensive back, I mean, I probably shouldn't ask you this because I skied above you and caught a ball over your head a couple weeks ago. But what was your mentality? Well, there's film out there where you can watch if you want to. But what was your mentality in defending against like an end-of-game situation where it's a Hail Mary?
First of all, I made the defensive back coach put me in the back in the middle so I could get the ball, intercept, and run all the way back. I was not taking a knee. Second of all, if you got defensive backs that are not ball savvy, most defensive backs were bad receivers early on. What I would do, I would take the receivers and put them in the back 3 all the way across the goal line and let those guys who are normally known for catching the darn football go catch the darn football.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. That's the kind of coach you got right now at Jackson State.
I think it's a decent strategy unless they do the thing that the Dolphins did and then you're stuck in a situation where your tight end is now your free safety. Then you're kind of fucked.
I would not put Gronk, my tight end, back there. That has no reason.
All right, biggest game of Sunday, the Bucs and the Chiefs. What the hell do you do to stop Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill? That was insane. He had 13 catches, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes had 300 yards in the first half. What do you do? What do you do to try to stop them?
Double him. You double him. Everybody else got to man up. You double him.
And then
you put somebody in his face, bump him, and double him. That's all you have to do.
So
double him, take him out of the game and say he's not going to beat you. If anybody, let Travis Kelce beat you, man. It's a slow death that way. You don't want to have an expeditious death with this guy beating you. And I feel sorry. You know, I'm a defensive back of defensive backs. 24, I don't even know his name right now, but I feel bad for him, man. Straight up. Like, I guarantee you his phone was ringing off the hook of blowing up with memes and everything because it was his birthday. We call it birthday. Like, when I'm coaching right now and I coach the offense like I did last night, if I see a vulnerable cornerback, all I do is say birthday, rabbit. Birthday rabbit means we're going to blow him out like a candle to the right side. And that's what they did today. So they blessed that kid, man. I feel bad for him.
Walk me through this from a defensive perspective because I always say, like, it's really easy to say, like, oh, wow, if you're playing against the Bucs, for example, you got to double-team Gronk, you got to double-team Mike Evans, you got to double-team Antonio. You have to double-team everybody. How many guys can you actually double-team during one single play?
2. We played the Vikings years ago when I was with the Cowboys. We had a double-double. You got to understand, they had Chris Carter, Randy Moss, and then they had Jake Reed. We double-doubled, then I manned up Jake Reed alone. which was a great scheme. We lost, but it wasn't a defensive fault because we played an adequate game that week. But you could probably double up to 2 guys.
What's the stat line if you go one-on-one with Tyreek Hill?
I'm prime.
So does he catch? I mean, he's got to catch something. He's
No. You can't even ask me that. I'm prime.
He doesn't beat you deep.
No. I'm prime.
So 50 yards, no touchdowns.
I'm prime. I don't think you guys understand.
You would lock him down.
I got 2 jackets.
Tyreek Hill.
I got
zero
a blue
catches,
jacket
0
in my
yards.
closet.
Yeah.
I got a red jacket for the NFL's 100, and I got a gold jacket for the Hall of Fame. You can't even ask me stuff like that. I'm prime. I got 3 jackets in the closet, and I didn't buy either of them.
So you never gave up a big game to anybody.
Ooh.
That was the big game.
What was the worst game you ever had?
The big game. Atlanta.
What was the worst stat line against you? I'm gonna look this up.
We didn't really go into stat lines that way. Like,
We didn't keep track of that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even look at it.
No, it wasn't like that back then.
Randy Moss never got you?
No, he never blessed me with a birthday. A lot of stat lines are deceptive, but like right now, they really have it where when you were one-on-one with that guy. I played against guys and they had 100, but they didn't have 100 when I was guarding them. Like a lot of times, like when we played against the Cowboys when I was with San Fran. When we played zone, I went to I played regular, either side. We played man, I went to Harper and they doubled Mike because Alvin Harper used to eat them alive back in the day. So we doubled Mike. I took Harper and Merton Hanks took Novacek, and it was over.
I'm reading right now, Jerry Rice did have his 225-yard, 5-touchdown game against the Falcons.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't you?
Watch the whole film.
Wasn't you?
Matter of fact, I really felt bad because the other corner didn't want to switch. That's the Charles Demery game. I think Jerry scored 5 touchdowns that game.
Yeah, he did. That's basically what Tyreek Hill did today.
Oh, my God. It's sad. You want to call timeout for him and say, man, let me come over there and cover. No, I got it. No, you don't.
Were you mad? Were you mad at Jerry Rice when he didn't shake your hand before that play? Because you really put your arm out there.
No,
you were like, hey, dab me up.
Yeah, that was like boxers, like last night before the fight. And then, guys, I saw your commentary on the fight last night. Matter of fact, I cannot wait to get to that this week. Matter of fact, I need to come on your show. You need to come on ours because we got to talk about that fight.
Nate Robinson, oof.
Oh, we got to talk about that.
That was bad.
Was it worth it?
I'd say no. I would say no. Not worth it. Maybe
not.
It's fresh. Maybe it's too fresh.
Like my daughter's sitting here right now, my grown daughter. And I know for a fact that if it happened to me, she would not look at me the same.
No,
you can't.
Yeah, no, you can't do it. At some point, it's just not even worth it because even if he won, like, what's the upside? It's not as much as the downside. Yeah, you can't get knocked out.
But the like the way it ended, it's no way you could encourage your kid now and say, "Come on, son, you can't give up. You got to fight through it. Fight through it, Dad. Are you kidding me?"
That was bad. That was very, very bad. That was very, very bad.
I feel bad for him.
Yes.
Deion, you and I have a little bit of beef, too, because you came at me on Thanksgiving Day, the highest of holidays, as far as I'm concerned. You had an issue.
What did I do?
You had an issue with my macaroni and cheese, my old family recipe that I make, the mayo and breadcrumb mixture. You don't need cheese.
That was not macaroni and cheese.
It's just strictly mayo.
That was not macaroni and cheese.
Did you see how it turned out?
Macaroni and cheese.
Because it turned out pretty good.
It was garbage. It was almost white. The macaroni and cheese was almost white, and it wasn't in cheese. What was it?
It was macaroni, breadcrumbs, and mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise, yeah.
The Holy Trinity.
I guarantee you, as soon as you ate that, you were straight to the toilet.
What you didn't see, though, was the after pick. After I added 5 different types of cheese to it, Andy Reid style, and then baked a whole mess of mac and cheese.
You had a direct deposit to the toilet right after you made that.
Yep.
I was all plugged up.
All right, my last question for you, Deion. Back to that Bucs-Chiefs game. At what point is it too late for the Bucs to kind of figure it out on offense? Because it just looks clunky and it looks like it's not like. Can they at some point this season? Can Tom Brady walk into Bruce Arians' offense and be like, "Let me just do it. Let me run the thing that I did in New England. Like, let's stop throwing it deep all the time. Let me be Tom Brady, and it will win." Can he do that, or is it too late?
I saw a statistic during that game today. You guys may have seen it also. Bruce Arians, the great quarterbacks he's coached in the first year, all of them had at least 15 picks.
Mm-hmm.
At least, I think 15 to 17 picks. So that's not good. That's not good management of an offense. He really needs to let Tom be Tom. Let him go out there and do his thing. I think they need to move Antonio in the slot. They got to get Antonio more involved because he's a dog, man, and they're not using him right whatsoever. And put those other guys on the outside and just letting them work. But Antonio is a game changer and a chain mover, man, and they're not. He is not nearly what he once were. They're using him incorrectly.
Yeah, I mean, it just the whole thing looks a little weird, and they have all the talent.
It does not look good.
Yeah.
And Tom doesn't look good. Where do Cam go from here? Last one. Where does Cam go?
I don't know,
like,
but yeah.
If you were Cam, would you go somewhere and be a backup? Because that's what he might have to do next year.
That's what I'm like. Do they read? There's probably like 5 quarterbacks coming out of college. Probably is going to go in the first round this year. Some pretty good ones.
Yep.
But what do you do? Like what's going on right now? Do you do this over? Do you give him another shot?
I think if you're Cam, and it will be a blow to his ego because, he's an MVP, 4 years ago? I honestly think I would go to a great situation, kind of a Jameis in New Orleans. Now, obviously, Taysom Hill kind of has changed that because he ended up being the true backup. But go somewhere where it's a great situation. A team will have you, and if the starter gets hurt, you basically are walking into a championship level team.
You can't dress like that and come off the bench.
That's true. You do have to. Yes, you're right. That's a great point.
It's a whole change.
He needs to change his entire wardrobe if he comes off the bench.
Well,
I agree.
What situation might look like that across the NFL? Would it be like Atlanta, maybe?
None.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, it'd be an interesting one. Is like a Sean McVay or
Atlanta.
Kyle Shanahan.
What about Atlanta? He's from Atlanta.
Yeah. That's basically why I said it. But then they do have an aging quarterback and a new coach. Who knows who that's going to be? But yeah, like Kyle Shanahan would be an interesting one.
Go somewhere where the coaching, it's a system that you'll have success in. Everyone just picked the Packers, by the way, on NBC. So
that's
I'm
good.
happy about that.
That's great.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Deion, thank you as always. You look great in that hat. He's wearing a Peaky Blinders hat.
Yeah.
You look swaggy.
I'm going to wear one Thursday, too.
So
I appreciate you guys.
Tyreek Hill would have like 3 touchdowns against you? Tyreek Hill, 3 touchdowns against you?
I'm prime.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.